At the top of the show, we discussed the WikiLeaks revelation that President Obama actively prevented the prosecution of Bush officials for torture, a show of complacency toward war crimes by the sitting U.S. president. This is something we would never have known about if WikiLeaks wasn't around. Just like we would never have known about our government using diplomats to spy on world leaders, including allies, in clear violation of international law. We wouldn't know about the secret war in Yemen conducted by the U.S. that has resulted in the deaths of civilians in that country. We would never have known the truth behind the 2007 incident in Iraq that left 2 Reuters journalists dead at the hands of a U.S. Apache helicopter attack. Aren't we better off knowing these things? Some may argue no. But those are the same people who wouldn't want to know the truth presented in the Pentagon Papers or the truth about Watergate. They're the same people who attacked WikiLeaks today. They believe it's unpatriotic to reveal secrets. They forget that truth, even if it presents the U.S. government in a negative light, is still worth knowing. That's the premise of a free press in this country. The man behind the truth-telling is Julian Assange, someone who's become somewhat of an international man of mystery. His whereabouts at any given time are unknown. But one thing that is known, he has a vision. And that vision may just change the world for the better. Looking at his writings, it's clear what motivates Assange. In 2007, he wrote a piece entitled "The United What of America," in which he examined corporate structure and how it is intrinsically authoritarian. His piece is even more poignant after the Supreme Court's Citizens United decision that pretty much handed our government over to corporate rule. In Assange's words, that corporate rule looks like this. These are the characteristics of a corporation. Suffrage, the right to vote, does not exist except for landholders, shareholders. And even there, voting power is in proportion to their ownership. All executive power flows from a central committee. Female representation is almost unknown. There's no divisions of powers. There's no fourth estate, no press. There are no juries, and innocence is not presumed. Failure to submit to any order can result in instant exile. There is no freedom of speech, no right of association. Love is forbidden without state approval. Just starting to sound like something, something from our distant past. The economy is centrally planned. There is pervasive surveillance of movement and electronic communications. The society is heavily regulated, and this regulation is enforced to the degree many employees are told when, where, and how many times a day they can go to the toilet. This is corporate America we're talking about. There is almost no transparency, and something like the Freedom of Information Act is unimaginable. The corporate state, this state has one party. Opposition groups, unions, are banned, surveilled or marginalized whenever and wherever possible. This is the path our country is on as corporations play a bigger and bigger role in politics thanks to our Supreme Court. And this is what Julian Assange is standing up against. It's the secrecy that exists within corporate rule. It's the threat to democracy, and it's the threat to freedom. Assange is the world's whistleblower, an occupation that used to be respected and applauded in America. There haven't been adversarial journalists in this country since Woodward and Bernstein and Jack Anderson back in the 70s. Whatever happens to Assange, whatever the end game is, the can of worms is already open. Copycat sites are popping up around the globe. Secrets revealed from South America to Africa. So even if he's picked up by Interpol and rots in prison or simply spends the rest of his life jumping around the globe out of touch, WikiLeaks has changed the way the world works. For all the corporations and governments, if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to worry about. But for everyone else, the secrets will be revealed. Transparency now rules the day, as Assange himself has stated. The aim of WikiLeaks is to achieve just reform around the world and do it through the mechanism of transparency. And I support his endeavor.